Hi everyone. Today in this video we are going to discuss chemistry and classification of bronchodilators. It is well known that epinephrine and ephedrine, two important drugs which are going to act as adrenergic agonists. Similarly, another drug atropine, which is a natural product, acts as anticholinergic. All these drugs are going to produce bronchodilation. But interestingly, these drugs are not suitable as bronchodilators because of their non-selectivity and because of their toxic reactions. So today in this video we will see what are the real bronchodilators and what is their classification and what are the chemical nature of these bronchodilators. Already we have seen that epinephrine can act on the beta-2 receptors. Epinephrine is one of a catechol-amine. We can observe in the structure the catechol OH groups, and it is having a simple amine group at the side chain which is substituted with the methyl group. So epinephrine is a catechol-amine with simple methyl group on the amine. This structure can be modified to produce the other types of beta-2 agonists. Since these beta-2 receptors are present on the bronchioles, so epinephrine can act on the bronchioles to produce the bronchodilation. But this epinephrine is not selective for beta-2 receptors. It can also act on the other beta receptors as well as it can also act on the alpha receptors. So it produces a mixed actions. For example, epinephrine can act on the heart which are coupled with the beta-1 receptors. So it can stimulate the heart, resulting in the tachycardia. That's why epinephrine is not a good drug target as a bronchodilator. Even it can produce a bronchodilation. Similarly, we have another drug like the ephedrine, which can also produce a bronchodilation with additional actions. Similarly, another beta-2 agonist is the metaproterenol. You can see here the OH groups are attached at the meta positions to each other as well as they are meta position to the side chain, so which can be observed in the name as a prefix meta. Similarly, on the side chain, a propyl group is attached on the amine, so which can be observed in the name as pro. So metaproterenol is having the meta hydroxy groups and propyl side chain on the amine. So this is the metaproterenol. This drug is also known as orciprenaline, just like the isoprenaline. This orciprenaline can act on the beta-2 receptors, thereby it can produce the bronchodilation. So it can be used as a bronchodilator. But nowadays we have more efficient bronchodilators which are more selective towards the beta-2 receptors. So what are the beta-2 agonists which are used in the treatment of asthma can be classified into two types, short-acting as well as long-acting. The short-acting beta-2 agonists are also called as SABA and long-acting beta-2 agonists are called as LABA. So the short-acting beta-2 agonists mainly include the terbutaline, salbutamol and pirbuterol. Similarly, long-acting drugs include salmeterol and formoterol. So the first one is the SABA, short-acting beta-2 agonist. The first drug is the terbutaline. So in the terbutaline, you can observe a tertiary butyl group on the amine. So that's why it is having a prefix terbut. Terbut indicates terbutaline group is there on the amine. And just like the metaproterenol, again here it is having the OH groups at the meta positions. Similarly, another drug is the salbutamol. So in the salbutamol, again we can observe a tertiary butyl group which is attached with the amine. But on the aromatic ring at the third position, you can observe a CH2OH group instead of the OH group. So this is the salbutamol, which is also known as albuterol. Long-acting beta-2 agonists. One of the long-acting beta-2 agonists is the salmeterol. You can see that a large group is present on the amine because of the increased chain length, the lipophilicity increases, thereby the drug is long-acting. So on the amine, we can observe a long chain which results in the high lipophilicity and long duration of action. So that is the drug salmeterol. And another drug is the formoterol. Formoterol is having a formamide group at the third position. So that's why we can observe a prefix form which indicates a formamide group is there. And it can also have somewhat significant chain on the amine, which again increases the duration of action and lipophilicity of this drug. So salmeterol and formoterol are the two important drugs which are long-acting beta-2 agonists. The beta-2 agonists can be given in the tablet form as well as they can be given as a solution. This solution can be taken orally. And these drugs can also be given as the respios. These respios are for the inhalation purpose and they can be taken by nebulization. And beta-2 agonists are also available as inhalers. So we have two important inhalers, MDI, metered dose inhalers, which produce a fixed dose of the drug with each inhalation. And second one is a DPI, dry powder inhalers, where the drug is going to be available as a dry powder filled in the rota caps, which are going to be inhaled directly into the bronchioles. So in this way, beta-2 agonist plays an important role in the treatment of asthma as well as COPD. They are available in the different formulations and they're having high patient compliance. Second type of drugs are the anticholinergics. Atropine is one of an anticholinergic which is a natural product, and this is a racemic mixture of the hyoscyamine. Atropine can block the M3 receptors which are present on the bronchioles, so it can produce the bronchodilation. But at the same time, atropine can also act on the M2 receptors because atropine is a non-selective anticholinergic, so it can act on the M2 receptors which are present on the heart, so it can block the cholinergic transmission in the heart, which results in the tachycardia. So atropine can also cross the blood-brain barrier. It can act on the M1 receptors which are present within the CNS. Thereby it can produce the central side effects. So that's why atropine is not useful as a bronchodilator because of the non-selectivity as well as more number of side effects. So we can have few of the drugs like the ipratropium, tiotropium, eclidinium, glycopyrronium. You can observe that the first two drugs are having a suffix tropium, which are the quaternary ammonium compounds having a structural similarity with the atropine. And the third drug is having the inium, and fourth drug is having the suffix onium. All these indicates these drugs are quaternary ammonium salts. Because of the quaternary ammonium structure, they are not readily cross the blood-brain barrier, so they will have less central actions compared with the atropine. So these are the anticholinergics which are peripherally acting and having more action on the bronchioles. Particularly ipratropium and tiotropium can be used in the treatment of COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, where they can produce the bronchodilation by blocking the cholinergic transmission. Third one is the phosphodiesterase inhibitors. Theophylline is one of a phosphodiesterase inhibitor which is having the structure like this. You can observe that this drug belongs to the methyl xanthines. It is having the xanthine nucleus with methyl group substitution, and methyl groups are present at the two positions, that is the first position and third position. So theophylline is the 1,3-dimethyl xanthine. Theophylline is also available as an ether form like aminophylline. Both can act as bronchodilators. Theophylline acts by blocking the phosphodiesterase enzyme, thereby it inhibits the metabolism of the cyclic AMP, and it increases the cyclic AMP levels within the bronchial smooth muscle, which results in the bronchodilation. And this drug can also act by blocking the adenosine receptors, which can also result in the bronchodilation. So theophylline can act on the bronchioles to produce a bronchodilation, so that's why theophylline can be used as a bronchodilator. But this drug is not that much specific like the beta-2 agonists. Theophylline can also act on the heart. It can increase the cyclic AMP levels within the heart, resulting in the cardiac stimulation, which results in the tachycardia. So tachycardia is one of the important side effects of the theophylline. And this drug can also stimulate the CNS, and by stimulation of the CNS, it can precipitate the convulsions in the patients. Particularly theophylline is having a narrow therapeutic window, so there is a less gap between the therapeutic dose and the lethal dose. So whenever its levels are going to cross the lethal dose, it can produce some toxic reactions like the tachycardia and convulsions. And apart from this, theophylline can also produce few of the drug interactions because theophylline acts as an enzyme inhibitor. That's why theophylline is not that much preferred as a bronchodilator. But still this drug is available as a tablet, capsule, as well as an IV preparation to produce the bronchodilation. So that's about the bronchodilators. We have mainly three categories of bronchodilators: beta-2 agonists, anticholinergics, and phosphodiesterase inhibitors. Both in the asthma and COPD, beta-2 agonists play an important role. but they are more effective in the treatment of asthma compared with the COPD. In the COPD, anticholinergics play an important role where they can inhibit the cholinergic transmission, thereby they can improve the bronchodilation. And finally, phosphodiesterase inhibitors like the theophylline will have less selectivity and more toxicity. So it is very rarely used as a bronchodilator. Under emergency conditions, it can be given as an IV route to produce the bronchodilation. So that's for today. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your friends. Post your comments in the comment box. Thank you for watching this video.